Your muscles, your brain needs regular workouts to stay healthy and fit as you age. We're taking a look at some ways to exercise your brain and preserve and build your memory. In this week's Happier at Home, we are joined this morning by Deb Marcello. Deb, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I think this is important for all ages, but specifically when we talk about seniors. So let's talk about the benefits first of exercising our brain.
Absolutely. It's such an important thing to understand and to then challenge your brain. So being able to exercise your brain helps your memory. It helps preserve your cognitive reserve. And also, in some instances, it can even help to prevent or delay neurologic challenges. And I say that because on studies post-mortem on autopsies of nuns' brains, there was evidence of Alzheimer's lesions, where during their lifetime, they didn't have any evidence of Alzheimer's symptoms. So what this is telling us is that the typical life that a nun leads is meditating, studying, socializing, eating a low-fat diet. Those things really were connected with better brain health.
Yeah, really interesting study there. We talk about ways to stimulate our brain, and there's different ways we can do this, right?
Yes, and it's always important to stimulate your brain in different ways. You're going to want to tease your brain and challenge it. And especially do not become passive. Your brain can actually atrophy. So just as our muscles need exercise, your brain needs exercise. So some of the ways that you can do this are to be creative, using Play-Doh and sculpting with Play-Doh, being able to paint or express yourself in different creative ways. That's one of the ways that you use parts of your brain that maybe you normally don't. Another way is to create lists and test your recall. So, for example, you can create a list of grocery items that you need to pick up or your family's birthdays, and then memorize it. And then an hour later, come back and just see if you could recall that entire list. And this is one of those challenging brain exercises.
Another option that is available is to learn a foreign language or play a musical instrument. I feel like that foreign language one is always difficult when you're older. You feel like it's more challenging, but it really can stimulate your brain.
And you're right, it is more difficult when you're older. When you're younger, your brain is more pliable. You remember things easier, but this is why it's so important as you get older to challenge your brain and learn a different language, learn a musical instrument, because you're using parts of your brain that you don't use in everyday life. And so that will help to build them and preserve your memory and build that cognitive reserve, as I talked about. It's also important to make sure that you're staying social. One of the things when I worked in the emergency department, I had a patient who was 100 years old, and she was completely with it mentally. And when I asked her what her secret was, she said, "Honey, I had friends over every week. I socialized. She never was married." Maybe that's part of it. But she always made sure that she was staying socially connected. And that's a really, really important thing.
Yeah, that social life for sure. Deb, we've got about a minute left. You've got one more, which is called play games, any games that kind of stimulate your brain. I don't know if you've played Wordle yet. I've tried it a few times. It drives me insane. I find it so frustrating, but it makes me think.
Yes, I have not played it, but I might need to try it. Scrabble, Monopoly, anything that, I mean, one of the things that's really nice about different games, you could play them individually. You could play them on apps on your computer or your phone. Board games, if you're playing board games with friends and family, you're both hitting the wanting to play games to stimulate your brain in different ways, but then also socializing with people.
Absolutely. All good advice. Deb, good to see you this morning. Thank you so much.